Hello everyone, my name is Pixelriffs and welcome back to another Minecraft Legends video. Before we continue the campaign tomorrow, I thought I would give you guys an overview of what other features you can expect from Minecraft Legends. What I really want to show you today is the combination of Lost Legends and Myths and the Marketplace. If I click on the Lost Legends and Myths tab, it opens up this window. We have My Lost Legends, we have My Myths, and we have Online. Lost Legends seem to be basically downloadable maps, either created by the Minecraft Legends team or possibly even creator maps. So people who'd make maps for the Minecraft Marketplace for Bedrock Edition or make maps for Java Edition distributed elsewhere online, you might find them making maps specific to Minecraft Legends. But as players, we can download those and play basically a challenge map in Minecraft Legends. It's not going to be a player versus player thing. It might even be possible to play these co-op, which is what I presume is the case with this online tab. If players online are playing these kind of challenge maps, then you can jump in and join them up to 4 players in a lobby. The My Myths tab is currently empty, but it does say something about purchasing creator content. So maybe the Lost Legends are going to be the more official maps created by the team at Mojang and Blackbird Interactive, and maybe the Myths are going to be player-created ones. So one of these Lost Legends is already available in the marketplace for free. If we head over to Lost Legends in the tab here, the Portal Pile is free to download. So I'm going to download that one, and it currently costs 0 Minecoins. So it seems like in the future, these will be things that they'll be able to charge in-game currency for, and you can see a bit more of that over on the Skins and Textures tab, where right now there's a bunch of different stuff all available for Minecoins. This is all just cosmetic stuff, really. It's all just different skins for your player, different skins for the mounts in-game, that kind of thing. So with this Portal Pile Lost Legend downloaded, it now appears in the My Lost Legends tab. We're going to click on that, and it does seem like you can host it for 4 players in co-op, but I'm going to try doing this in single player and see how I get on. Oh, we get a cutscene with this as well. This might be another thing that's different about the downloadable maps from the Minecraft Legends team themselves, is that they'll be able to incorporate more cinematic stuff and more story angles, and it'll be like an addition to the story of the Minecraft Legends world. And it looks like we have, 3 different bases on each side of us, and I assume we're going to have to protect this village. We need to gather some resources, though. We don't have any wood yet, as far as I can tell. We have a lot of allays, though, so I am hopeful that we'll be able to just gather some stone from our surroundings. Maybe we can go a little bit further afield. Okay, the first wave is coming in 20 seconds, so let's see if we can grab some stone from the Badlands here. We can hop across the river and gather some wood. In fact, even though it's quite far away, I might go to this jungle and just set a couple of my allays permanently gathering wood, because we'll need a lot of that to build our defenses. Then we should be able to walk back to that village well and defend them a little bit. There we go. We can teleport back, and hopefully right now we'll be able to kick off by taking on the piglins mano a mano. We'll swing our sword at them and see how far we get, eh? Oh, there's a significant load of them coming over the hill right here. Let's see if we can get some lapis from them real quick. Or are they not dropping lapis? Interesting. So maybe we'll have to get our resources from the village itself. Looks like we got a lot of them, though, so I am probably going to have to build some arrow towers pretty quickly here. And the piglins will be coming in from the other sides as well, so my builder laser better get on this really quick, otherwise the village is going to be in trouble. There's a lot of them. Okay, our arrow towers on this side should be adequate. Let's see if we can set up over here. Village chest replenished. Okay, so we are going to get resources by default from the village chest over here in the center, and our reward is some iron. Perfect. That'll be great. We'll be able to set up a masonry and a carpenter's hut and make sure our village is well defended. We'll build a few more arrow towers over here because I am low on resources. I need to go and gather more stone. It really doesn't give you much time to go and do that, does it? Okay, well, luckily I know that these kind of tree-like structures in the Badlands are made out of stone, so that should be something we can use, and I'll stand over here and take on these little mace runts whilst they are kind of small right now. I expect things are going to escalate pretty quickly. We're on wave 2, and from what I've heard, there are about 20 waves. So right at the end, we're going to have everything thrown at us. The villagers are panicking a little bit, but don't worry, I seem to have most of this under control. I'm probably going to basically build a wall of arrow towers here and see what I can do about upgrading those as we go. Kind of wish I could harvest a bit more stone from around here, but let's take a quick look and see if there's any. There's no Fate Lands around here, really, so I don't know where we're going to be able to get stone from. That's really going to be the hardest challenge of this map, I think. And it seems like our arrow towers are at least taking care of the piglins who wander into the village so far. It seems like this one right here is going to be the more aggressive lot, and there's definitely a couple of cannon piglins in here with the little launchers that we do need to make sure we get taken out nice and quickly. What does the masonry need? We need a bit more iron. Okay, well, let's see if there's any iron in our surroundings. Maybe the village will be able to help us with that as well, because, gosh, the forest to the south is really the only place we can get it. Let's see. Our iron storage has received an upgrade. We have scatter towers now. Okay, perfect. I'll put those here and here. And we'll see if we can build a couple more of those on the other side as well. They do need coal to build, though. We haven't really built any walls yet, but most of the time the piglins will just attack the nearest structure. So I'm kind of hopeful that they will just sit there and do their thing. They're going to attack the towers whilst we are out gathering resources. Well, we can get the stone from those at least, and it looks like there's plenty of iron here. And if we're going to see some more substantial piglin incursions in the near future, I should probably put a wall up over the front of these arrow towers, just to make sure that they're not on the firing line right away. We should also probably put a wall around the village well. I'm going to be respawning there if I end up getting killed, but it's usually a good idea in PvP matches to do this, where you have a wall around the central well just to protect it from any immediate bombardments. This is going to be the piglins' major objective after all. This is what they are here to destroy, so we should make sure there are at least some arrow towers around it so they can be defended. And oh gosh, yeah, they're getting in here now. They're taking down my towers. There are a couple of... Wow, those guys are running in with bombs and basically trying to destroy my structures outright. We're going to have to do a quick rebuild phase here. The waves are just coming so fast. This is really all I can manage. Oh my gosh, this time they're bringing the hoglins. Okay, we need to reinforce this side. I'm going to put a few more arrow towers up. So this is basically tower defense, wave survival kind of stuff, as you can see. And I think the Kaboomery is definitely going to be a necessary improvement here, considering that the Kaboomery is going to upgrade all of our towers to explosive towers. I think we'll need something like that to help us against these hardier units for sure. They're taking down these towers almost faster than I can get them up at some points. What is this? The wave is getting so intense so quickly. This really does feel like the kind of map that it would be a lot easier to play cooperatively, but I kind of wonder if the difficulty scales with co-op. We only get 30 seconds between these waves, so if we can somehow like bait a piglin away from the base, I think that might be a kind of ideal situation here. We have a redstone launcher already. That's kind of wild. Let's see if we can do something about these massive hordes of piglins with one of those. Oh, okay, now we're getting the piglin assault from the other side. Now we're getting the one that I almost wasn't expecting at this point. So I'm going to have to wade in and do a little bit of damage with the sword where I can, because I've left this side tragically under-defended. They're all running straight towards the center as well. They're ignoring the arrow towers entirely, which means their objective has changed. They all very much targeting the well in the middle, and there are like 400 of them almost. Yep, our well is taking damage for the first time, and it's taking damage very quickly. Oh my gosh, I'm being absolutely overwhelmed. I definitely need to rethink my strategy and start building walls first, because this is chaotic by wave 7. What's wave 20 gonna be like? Yep, that was a very, very quick loss. Oh my days, that is tough. Alright, maybe we should prioritize building a little bit sooner. I think that seems like the best thing to do. The piglins won this time, but legends can be retold. Okay, so this time I'm going to go out and gather resources. We're going to get a couple of things from around the base right away, but I'm going to use the speed wheat to go out and get some stone and some wood. And this time we're going to try building, but also prioritizing getting units on the board pretty quickly, because honestly, I was so focused on the base defense side of things and getting defenses up really quickly that I kind of forgot the fact that we can bring our own units in instead of just building defensive towers. And so maybe some plank golems and cobblestone golems might be able to help us defend the base a little more effectively. Getting some really quick defenses up right away, because I'm sure the piglins will be here real soon, but it looks like they're only coming from this side for this wave, so let's very quickly wade in. We can score some easy kills on these guys. They're not too much trouble right now, and our arrow towers are already online, which is great. We'll take out the last of these blaze runts. Let me grab these resources from the village chest as well, and we should be able to put down a mossy golem spawner, which I think mossy golems might be a good idea, and some grindstone golems just to disrupt some of their units. I kind of wonder if we can build any... No, we can't build any additional improvements, so we won't be able to get a Flames of Creation upgrade right away. Once again, going to build a couple more arrow towers on each corner to make sure we are slightly better reinforced, but it seems like our plank golems are doing a better job. I've always thought of them as the more weak units from what we've seen in PvP and other matches, but maybe I should be using them a little bit more. Either way, we should now have access to a few more resources. We can get this village chest. We'll need to make sure that we grab that, because that's now given us access to creepers. In the meantime, I'm going to start building up walls around our village well, kind of what I did before, but I think it's going to make sense. And this time around, I'm going to leave a gate on two sides. I'm going to leave one right here and another one right here, and that should at least give me access to the village chest whilst making sure that the walls are complete around the outside of this. Let's grab all of our troops from over here. I should probably use the recall function at spawners for that. I think that's probably going to be a smart move. Okay, these are the bomb units that I was talking about before. Let's see if we can take a few of those out before they reach the towers. There's so many of them, though. Oh my gosh, they did breach the wall. They actually came straight through there, and I didn't notice them on that side. This is so difficult with just one person. Let's see if we can send a few creepers in to disrupt this amount of units, because they might be able to deal damage in more of an area of effect. So let's send them in to target specifically these hoglins over here. Let's focus on a target right there and see what that kaboom can do. Yeah, okay, that knocks back a lot of them, and that seemed to do pretty well. I wonder if that will work if we send in a creeper or two at a time. This probably isn't quite the time to be experimenting with strategies like this, but you never know, right? Man, they are absolutely demolishing this wall. I don't know if I have much hope of surviving the next wave at this rate. Okay, our line of defense on this side has almost certainly been broken. The piglins are making their way in, but the creepers can charge, and hopefully they'll deal with a few more of these. Yeah, they seem like a lot better at dealing with a large horde of enemies. This kind of area of effect is pretty good. All right, well, our arrow towers have managed to take down one of the piglins there. Our village chest is replenished. Let's see if we can get something from that. Let's recall all of our units, because the main piglin force seems to be coming from this side this time. I wonder what our limit is on how many units we can throw at them. But either way, let's send them all in this direction and see what happens. Do we have another piglin group coming in from this side? No, it looks like it's just coming from that south portal right now. Yeah, on this point, we are definitely losing a little bit of ground. Let's see if we can spawn in some creepers with the resources it's given us, but you really have no time to go out and gather, so that was kind of an early mistake I made, I think. The well is holding for now, but all I can do is spawn in creepers, send them after the units that get close, and hope that they can do the job. There's definitely a few inside of here, and it's kind of annoying because the villagers keep opening the gate. I feel like the villagers are there even when I'm not, and that means the gate keeps being opened, and I'm getting dangerously low on health here, and I don't seem to have any kind of way of regenerating my health. So it looks like this might be another failed attempt at the portal pile, and it looks like we might have beaten off this wave for now, but oh my gosh, we only have another 30 seconds to completely regenerate our army, more or less. The piglins have breached the wall. They breached our defenses. Let's get a few more skeletons in here to defend the center of the base. And those village structures are taking a little bit of damage, but they seem to be holding okay. Whoa, okay, who is that? That's another kind of crazy looking piglin unit. And man, my forces have been dramatically depleted, but we've taken so much damage from that guy. It seems like they are the heavier demolition units. The village chest has some more resources for us, but no, it was not enough. You really can't let them inside the well. It's so difficult to defend that. Man, we got to wave 15. I'm happy with that, though. I think that was a decent performance for some solo play. And maybe I'll have a couple more goes at this map off camera and see if I can manage to win the day. Because I believe for completing maps like this, what you get is a reward of some kind of player skin. I think you might have other rewards for future Lost Legends. So really excited to see where all of this goes. Okay, so it's a little while later, and my second attempt went better, but not super great, as you probably saw. And I actually edited together a full version of this video where that's where it ended. We didn't manage to beat it, we got to wave 15, and that's where it ended. But then after editing that together, I had another go. I thought maybe I can figure out a strategy for this, and it turns out on my third attempt, I beat the portal pile completely. So I've come across a pretty decent strategy for this. It's worked out for me a couple of times now, and as you can now see, I am able to access that reward of the portal pile hero skin, which is a special skin with these 2 diamond icons. I'm not entirely certain what that means. Maybe it's like a rare thing, or maybe it's a reward. Either way, I'm now able to beat this pretty consistently, so I can share with you a strategy for beating this if you're having trouble with it yourself. We're going to start by restarting the game, so we start with a brand new file. We're going to go in and let's see what we can do about these piglins. Okay, so as before, we're going to start out by gathering a few resources from the environment. We're going to take note of where some of the speed wheat and stuff is as well, but we're mainly going to be focusing on gathering wood and stone. We've got 8 allays, so we can really just spam the allays around here and pick up as many of these resources as we can. And then we're going to start placing a plank golem spawner near one of the piglin portals. We're going to spawn our full army here, and then we're going to go and build spawners next to the other 2 portals as well. Now you might be wondering, hang on a second, we've left our whole army there, what's the deal? Well, it turns out that if we head over here and we build another plank golem spawner over here, once that is finished building, we can of course recall all of our units here by holding down E. So immediately our entire army is right here where we want them, ready to help us defend the village, and we can focus on a target over there to make sure that they all focus up on the same piglins leading the charge. I'm going to build a couple of these basic arrow towers at each location and follow up with that last plank golem spawner that we didn't get to build over here by the south portal. The arrow towers will work for now, but to be honest, we're going to replace those pretty quickly with something that I found was far more effective. For now, that's the first wave done. We immediately go and check the village chest because that has some vital resources and we can start building a couple of other things. I'm going to build a grindstone golem spawner behind each of the plank golem spawners I've set up now because it turns out the grindstone golems are really effective at handling some of the piglin's larger units. Now the assault happens on 2 fronts. We're going to recall our troops to this spot here. We're going to send all of them in right away, and right now we only have an army size of 10. It's not very large, so we're hoping that they'll deal with a bunch of the piglins over here. We'll rush over to the other side to make sure our arrow towers aren't in need of a little bit more defense. And once the piglins' numbers start to dwindle a little bit, we can recall all of our troops over here, and they can start dealing with these guys, leaving the arrow towers on the other portal to take care of the remaining piglins from the northwest side, from that western portal over there. And as you can see, that's working pretty effectively for me so far. And previously, I was just going to spam all of the arrow towers around. Well, now I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to build a carpenter hut relatively close to the center of our village so it can help us with a few more structures. Once again, I'm going to visit that chest, and that's going to unlock scatter towers. Scatter towers are the key to my strategy in this map. They are really, really effective at what they do, and right now we're going to build a few of those on each corner of the areas where the portals are, right? We're expecting one of the invasion waves to come from the south next, but we might end up with a few different ones, so we'll just see how things play out. Oh, okay, we ended up getting one from the west, where I haven't built any of these scatter towers yet. Well, luckily, they're quite short structures, so they end up building fairly fast. Unfortunately, we are a little bit low on coal, so I'm going to recall the whole army over here. The arrow golems are going to help me deal with the forces, and you know what? We actually have room for a few more golems in our army now, so I'm just going to fill us up on plank golems. They'll be able to deal with the melee piglins pretty effectively, and when it comes to the ranged units, well, we can run on in and give them a little bit of help with those guys. I'm going to build a carpenter's hut on this side as well, so that can help to repair the scatter towers that we're building, and I'll build one over here to make sure that it covers the radius of these towers once we have enough resources, which once again, we'll get from the village chest. Now we have access to building a lot more scatter towers thanks to the fact that it's constantly replenishing our supplies of coal. So I'm going to build a few more scatter towers at each location, and I think I'll probably end up removing this plank golem spawner so I can move it a little bit further back. Wave 4 is taking place on 2 fronts. We have some piglins coming in from over here. Once again, our unit maximum has increased, so I can spawn in a few more plank golems, send them out to fight this lot, and we'll see what happens over here on the northeast portal. Here we have a couple of scatter towers already built, and I'm going to shore up our defenses with just the scatter towers over here so that hopefully these piglins can be kept at bay without us spawning too many more golems in. At this stage, we're actually pretty comfortable. The piglins' numbers are dwindling, and our base doesn't seem to be in any immediate danger. So I'm going to quickly run out and see if I can get some more wood. We don't really need to do this, because we'll get some more wood from the village in a second, so consider this an optional step in our strategy. But I think it's going to be really useful just to get hold of a little bit of wood from over here, and then use the map to warp directly back to the center of the village, where we can pick up our next village chest. So right behind here, behind the portal, we will pick that up. That's going to give us a bunch more coal. And now we're going to start building a defensive line of scatter towers all the way around the center of the village well. We're not going to do a full perimeter wall right now, and there might be occasional gaps in it like that. If you're worried about that, you can fill those in with basic walls. But for now, what we really want to have is a perimeter of towers around the village well, as closely packed as possible, given the resources that we have. The bomb piglins are coming in, and they're going to unfortunately take down the carpenter hut that we built over here. Well, that's not a big deal. We're probably just going to make another one of those. And as you can see, the last few stragglers are getting taken out by the scatter scatter towers that we've just placed around the village well. So this is really going to be our final line of defense. Ideally, later on, the piglins aren't even going to be able to reach this wall of scatter towers, but for now, they're a really effective way of making sure anything that gets through to the center of the village is taken out swiftly and efficiently. Okay, now we're down to our last 10 coal, and it seems like most of the army in this round is coming from over here. You'll notice that the piglins' banner icons appear on your heads-up display on your compass, and that's really the indication of which way the wave is coming from. So right now we're just going to spawn in as many plank golems as we possibly can. We're going to send all of those in to fight the piglins, and they're going to do a pretty effective job considering that this wave is only coming from one side. We can also reinforce this area with another scatter tower, and we're just waiting for the wave to end. Our plank golems should be pretty effective at taking out these guys, but once again we can wade in and take care of the ranged piglin units that are causing us a little bit more trouble and scattering our plank golems. If ever we find ourselves short on plank golems, they're relatively cheap to produce, so we can just kind of hang back, spawn a few more, and allow them to join the fight when they are ready. But there we go, wave 6 is done. We're going to return to our village chest, we're going to continue building our perimeter wall, and that gives us access to redstone. At this point, we're going to start building a masonry so that our towers can become slightly better protected. We're going to rebuild the carpenter's hut that was destroyed over here, and we're going to make sure that there are scatter towers on each side of the base, because wave 7 is the one where a piglin horde will come through in huge numbers. Right now, we've got 400 units that we are facing off against, so I'm going to do my best to spawn in a bunch more scatter towers and a bunch more plank golems. We're just going to fill up every side of the base with those. And once we've got our armies in place, you'll notice the piglins' numbers start to drop off really fast. You'll see that they're losing units very, very quickly, thanks to the fact that these scatter towers are really, really effective at taking down units. Unfortunately, it looks like they have broken through on this side, but once again, we're just going to come over here, we're going to spawn in a bunch of plank golems, and as soon as they're spawned in, they should be able to attack some of the nearby piglins. We'll join in as well, since these are all basic units, they're not really going to do a great deal of damage. We should be able to give a couple of them a couple of whacks, and our AoE attacks will mean that the piglins get nowhere close. Also, that perimeter wall around the village well is working, and anything that gets here is killed pretty much immediately. Now all we need to do is start spamming scatter towers around the outside of our base, and also in the interior, because one of the things I found was that I didn't really have a great deal of defenses inside the village a little bit later once the piglins were able to make their way through. So I really think having a few towers a little bit closer in is going to be kind of a helpful thing here. But we've got our little armies of plank golems stationed all the way around, so even though we have a 30-second countdown before the next wave starts, we're going to do pretty effectively with the scatter towers and the plank golems that we've already got. And right now, we are able to plant so many towers around here because we're getting loads of coal each time we return to that central village chest. Now, the main thing we have to be aware of is the size of the newer piglin units. Sometimes they send in some pretty rough, larger units around this time. So I'm going to bring all of my army over here using recall, since the entire army of piglins is coming from this direction. We're just going to send everything we've got at this wave of piglins. They're going to be able to shoot past the arrow towers and make sure that all of the piglins end up going down nice and quickly. We even got a piglin key from that, although I'm not sure if there are any piglin chests on this map, so kind of curious if that is the case. You shouldn't worry too much about them destroying these village buildings either. If they do, that just creates space for you to create more improvements for your base. So don't worry too much about that. The only thing we're interested in protecting is the village well, which now has more resources for us as Wave 8 completes. At this point, we are more or less going to rinse and repeat, but I need to go into the upgrade book and start adding upgrades for our scatter towers. I'm going to add a spyglass overlook. I'm also going to prepare the battle drum, the masonry, and once we can build it, the kaboomery in nice convenient places here on my hotbar, so that now we can build a spyglass overlook over here. We can build a battle drum somewhere over here. It sounds like the piglins are coming from this direction, so I'll build my battle drum there and just start to reinforce this whole area with more scatter towers. The battle drum is going to be especially useful as the piglin force ramps up. And now you'll notice there is a lava launcher popping into the background there. Those are a little bit difficult to deal with in the early stages, but thankfully we have grindstone golems. We're just going to run all the way through the piglin army, ignoring everything else, and we're going to attack this thing with grindstone golems, which will keep it stunned long enough that it won't be able to do any significant damage to our structures. Now, this assault is coming in on two fronts. There is another lava launcher down here on the south side of the base, and it's doing a little bit of damage to the village structures, which is fine. Once again, we're going to spawn in a bunch of grindstone golems, send those and the plank golems out to take care of him. Now, instead of the plank golems, we're actually going to remove this spawner here, and we're going to build a skeleton spawner nearby, because skeletons are just upgraded plank golems. They're way better, they can attack from much higher range, and while the next wave is on the way, we're going to go and collect the resources from the village chest, and once again, we're going to reinforce each area with any scatter towers that might have been destroyed. We're basically going to just build up giant walls of them that the piglins will have to go through or around if they want to get into the village proper. It seems like most of their force is coming from the south this time around, so I'm going to head over to my skeleton spawner, and we're going to spawn in a bunch of those skeletons. Those are going to be really effective at dealing with these units before they even make it to our camp. You'll notice right now my Flames of Creation, my mob cap, is at like 90, which means we'll have plenty of time to spawn in a bunch of skeletons, order them all to attack in that direction, and then head over to defend the other side of the camp, where it looks like some stuff is just about to make its way to our perimeter wall. It looks like a tiny contingent of piglins have managed to make its way through to our village well, but they're all getting taken out so easily by the scatter towers at this point. That's incredible. Now, to help out the scatter towers on this side, we're going to check where we built the battle drum. We're going to build one on the other side over here. We're also going to start looking for the resources that will get us a kaboomery, and there it is. All right, so we're going to build one of those over here. We're going to look for a few more resources that we can use to rebuild another kaboomery on the opposite side, and that should cover both sides of our base. We're going to reinforce the scatter towers over here. Looks like, once again, the assault is coming in from the west and from the south, but at this point, I should be able to spawn in a bunch of skeletons, and these little piglins are going to stand no chance against an army of skeletons shooting them from range. We're going to return to our village chest to pick up the resources. We're going to continue building our line of scatter towers around the outside here, since that has been a pretty effective defense, and now a blast tower has unlocked. Now, it turns out you can only build one blast tower per run of this, since it doesn't actually allow you to unlock the means to build your own blast towers. You just get one, basically, as a reward. We're going to stick this somewhere fairly central on this side between the two different piglin portals, since those two are sort of evenly distributed on this side, and any piglins that make their way into this base are going to find themselves zapped pretty quickly. But now our scatter towers should be at a point where they're dealing with the explosive piglins a lot more effectively. You'll notice a little bit of damage has been done to the outside wall here, but there isn't really a great deal of other damage that's been inflicted on our base so far. And this wall over here of scatter towers is looking a little bit weak, so while the hoglins are rolling in, we're going to remove this plank golem spawner. We're going to set up a skeleton spawner in its place, and we're just going to reinforce this side of the map once again with a few more scatter towers. These have a battle drum nearby. They look like they could use a masonry as well, just to make sure that they all get converted to stone eventually. That is wave 12 done. We can open up the chest, and we get a full stock of all of these resources. We also get access to a stun tower. Like the blast tower, you can only build one of these, but I think we're probably going to build it over here. It's getting a little bit crowded in this village right now, folks. I think I could put it here if I didn't have these two spawners in the way, so I'm actually going to remove these for now, reposition them, and we'll put the stun tower right here. Perfect, because that's actually going to stun and knock back anything that invades from the southern portal pretty regularly, which should mean this line of scatter towers is more than enough to take care of the piglins who arrive here. And as you can see, the first volley from the scatter tower is really reducing their numbers. You'll see that happening on the other corners here as well, if they haven't brought any big units like lava launchers in. I've noticed the piglins aren't really going around this side all that much. They tend to be running in a direct line from their portal towards my village well. So I'm just going to increase my wall of scatter towers around here. My builder relays are trying to make their way through all of these piglins that pop up, but pretty soon they're going to find a row of scatter towers behind them that they can't really help but run through. Right now, our skeletons are standing around in the middle of the village because they really don't have a whole lot to do. It's really looking quite secure right now. We only have a couple of piglin units over here. The stun tower has been knocking them back like that, so every so often they have to reset their position, and they just get taken down by the scatter towers, no problem. That is wave 13 complete. We need to return to the village chest just to make sure we can restock on resources. But from this point forward, we're basically just going to be spamming scatter towers and looking out for the larger units like lava launchers and portal guards, which I think are what the giant piglins with the maces are called. In fact, let's go full tower defense on this, and let's actually create kind of a corridor that they have to run into so that they can get to the base. Well, let's not do that here, actually, because looking at it, it seems like the waves are coming from opposite sides. And this little set of regular arrow towers has held out, but a couple of them are being taken down. No worries, though. The scatter towers are doing more than enough against all of these guys. In fact, I'm going to make sure that this group of towers over here also has a battle drum really close by, and that should allow them to be reinforced pretty quickly. Right now, I have the luxury of just sitting here and placing buildings because I'm fairly confident that the rest of the Piglin force is going to be taken out. There we go. Wave 14 is done. 15 is a big one. They really send a lot of stuff at you on 15, so I'm going to spawn in a bunch more skeletons. Since our ground units are fairly depleted right now, I'm going to spawn in a couple of grindstone golems to run interference. We're going to gather up all of these guys, and we're going to send them generally out here. The skeletons will be able to fire from behind cover if they need to, but the grindstone golems need to be at the center of the action if they possibly can be. So as you can see, a lot of Piglin units showed up just then, but don't panic, everything's going to be fine. I'm setting up another skeleton spawner over here. My grindstone golems are already ready to go. Hopefully these bomber units should just get taken out easily by the scatter towers. There you go. We'll spawn in a bunch of skeletons so that they can fire over the walls, and this is where they start sending in those rolling Piglin units, which I have found, if we focus on them using the grindstone golems, they go down pretty easily. If we just focus up on that guy specifically, he'll roll through us in an attempt to get to the skeletons, but if the skeletons are focusing on him, they'll do pretty well. Now, these scatter towers are taking a bit of damage from the Hoglin assault, and over here, you'll notice that the rolling guys are definitely getting absolutely massacred by the skeletons, which is good. All of these guys over here, this one really needs a masonry so that we can reinforce some of these towers. Let's see if we can squeeze that in somewhere around here. Maybe about there. That will seem to do, but they're being reinforced by the Carpenter's Hut, and just like that, the Piglin waves are going down super easily. It looks like they have managed to breach through the line of scatter towers here, so I will rebuild a couple more of these, but by this point we're getting so many resources from the village chest that it's actually nice and easy to replenish the scatter towers. I might try and build a few more before I even go back to the chest, because our coal is currently capped at 300. It's giving us a First of Diorite spawner, so if you really want to go the whole hog on these Piglins, you can spawn the First of Diorite, and that will keep some golems coming through even when you're not managing those units yourself. So the First of Diorite can be pretty nice to have around. Looks like this wall of defenses is doing just fine. We've hit the speed wheat to go and check on the other side, and this side is doing okay. I've no idea why the masonry hasn't converted some of these to stone, but it doesn't seem to matter. They seem to be doing pretty well by themselves. There are a lot of potion throwers and a couple of lava launchers on this phase. Once again, we're going to reinforce our armies with a couple of those grindstone golems and send them out specifically to target the lava launchers. They will be able to stun the lava launchers for long enough that the skeletons and the other ranged units, even the scatter towers once they get close enough, should be able to deal with those. Because right now the lava launchers present the greatest danger to our scatter towers. They are the most destructive units that the Piglins can possibly bring in, and they're able to do stuff from a slightly higher range than I think the scatter towers are able to reach. So we're going to send a few more golems in to take care of those. The skeletons will be able to fire on them from range. The little basic potion throwers, these Horde of the Spore guys, are going to go down pretty easily. And you'll find that at the end of these waves, the lava launchers, the big hoglins, are really the only units which are left on the field. Your scatter towers should be able to hit them from a distance, so they should be able to take them down. The skeletons will help out with that, but really if you want an easier time dealing with them, send in a few grindstone golems and watch what happens. They just end up gathering around the feet of these things, they stay stunned, you see the little particles around their heads for a while. They'll do a bit of a stomp, but really they're not going to do a great deal of damage to your defenses while they're constantly being harassed by the grindstone golems, and this leaves all of the skeletons free to pick them off one at a time. It seems like our line of scatter towers has mostly held over here, but I think the lava launchers are doing a good job taking out the skeletons since they are ranged units. So you might want to consider swapping in some zombies or some melee units to take care of the lava launchers at closer range, but it seems like we did pretty well. Wave 16 is all done. We're going to rebuild some of these scatter towers, really just spam click them around these areas at this point. We could spawn the First of Stone if we want to, but I think it's kind of a waste of time at this stage. We have a full deck of resources once again, and we're really just going to be using those to reinforce our lines of towers over here. Now we can start spamming scatter towers inside the radius of the base, since we have pretty much everything we want to be built around here. Our stun tower and our blast tower are still standing, thanks to the fact that the scatter towers are a pretty good first line of defense. Now come those big piglins with the maces that I was talking about, and much like the lava launchers, you are going to want to send in some grindstone golems to mess with those guys a little bit. At this point, we are capped at 100 for our mob cap. That's the most mobs we can possibly use, so we'll have to send them in a little bit at a time, but if we once again focus up on the big units with the grindstone golems, you should be able to take them down nice and easily, and just look at the piglins' numbers drop. They basically stand no chance at this point with the amount of scatter towers that we have. Any that get knocked down, we can replace nice and quickly and spawn in a few more skeletons to deal with these more hectic units who are coming over here and causing us a bit of trouble. Players can't damage those big guys all that well, so you really need to rely on the units and the towers for this, but they're pretty good at what they do at this point. Over here on this side, this line of towers has been surviving better than the others, and that's really thanks to the stun tower being there. We can go and collect a few more resources once we've rebuilt our scatter towers. I honestly don't know at this point if they can fire from behind each other, so I'm not sure if I'm really building them right at that stage, but it doesn't matter all that much because they're just good at what they do. Let's grab the last of these resources, and this time around I think all of our scatter towers should be okay. Let's focus on getting the maximum number of mobs out here on the field. So we'll put a few more grindstone golems in here as well. Send them all out in a charge to focus on that area here. We might have to move them around the scatter towers at this point, but yep, it looks like they're sending in a whole bunch of bomb units, and these should all fall before they even hit the wall. There you go. Nothing to worry about when you have that many skeletons on your side, and the same should be true of the scatter towers now that they are doing this much damage. The attack should come in on all fronts for these last few waves, but look at the stun tower pushing all of those guys back. They really don't stand a chance. It's almost pushing them back as far as the portal. That stun tower is really quite incredible, but that is wave 18 all finished. Right now, I think we're going to be coasting to the finish. I really don't think we're going to have any trouble with any more of these mobs. Just like before, we're going to make sure we focus up on the lava launchers once they spawn as part of wave 19, and it seems like they will have our skeletons in their sights pretty quickly. So I think we should just charge the enemy right here. We'll send the grindstone golems in there to disrupt. The skeletons behind here are firing from behind the wall, which is pretty cool, but I think the lava launchers are capable of taking out large quantities of the skeletons, so once again, we should just make sure that they are focused up by the grindstone golems. I'm going to spawn in another grindstone golem spawner and a skeleton spawner on this side because this side is having a little bit more trouble dealing with the lava launchers, even though we have the stun tower up here. The stun tower is actually taking a little bit of fire, and some of the projectiles from these lava launchers are even hitting the scatter towers around our village well. That was actually quite impressive. Our village well did take a little bit of damage there. It's self-repairing, of course, but the lava launchers on that side did get a little bit too close for comfort. At this point, we're just rinsing and repeating. If we find any skeletons standing around or any grindstone golems that need something to do, we're just going to send them after these lava launchers, and all we have to do for the final wave, wave 20, is just survive it. So even if the rest of our defenses get broken down, if every last piglin is wiped off the field, that's us having won the game. Ooh, this side looks like it could use a little bit more help against the lava launchers as well, and I do need to re-up a few of the scatter towers around here. Oh, yikes, what was that? Whatever building that was, it's gone now. And it looks like whilst this is the last lava launcher left on the field, we should probably make sure we spam a few more towers around here so that that line of defense stays up. The player can't do anything to the lava launchers at all, so we're really just going to have to focus on getting the rest of those towers up. We still have a lot of mobs on the field. We get our last refresh of resources from the village, and let's check what that last thing there was. Was that my kaboomery? I think it may have been the kaboomery. So let's rebuild one of those just to make sure that our scatter towers have the explosive potential they need. Okay, this is it. The final wave has approached. 400 piglins arrive through the portal, and none of them will leave, as far as I'm aware. Now, once again, this wave is going to throw basically everything at us. There are lava launchers. There are a few more of those portal guards. They're all going to get stunned by the stun towers. You'll notice the piglins' numbers start dropping as soon as they come in range of the scatter towers, and we should send a few more skeletons in to help with the fight. A few more grindstone golems this side as well will probably help a great deal against the lava launchers and the bigger units, but you know what, I think the stun tower has got this covered, so let's focus on this other side over here as well. Looks like the scatter towers on that side are doing a decent job. We may have to focus on the lava launcher later, but they are really slow moving, so we don't got to worry too much about them. I am going to refresh my army a little bit here since the numbers are dropping. Some of those bigger units can do a lot of damage. An area of effect damage is something to be reckoned with in this game. We'll move the grindstone golems around the outside as well so that they can run interference on some of these larger guys. And finally, we'll check on the east side where it honestly looks like we're doing okay. I think the blast tower should be able to protect most of the guys over here, and that guy just got taken down by the scatter towers, meaning that we only have the lava launcher left to deal with, which it needs dealing with because it's still a force to be reckoned with, but a few grindstone golems in there should be able to take care of it nice and easily. There we go. It's going to be permanently stunned, more or less, as the scatter towers do the rest of their work. We've only got 7 piglins left to take down. It's probably just the lava launchers at this stage. There's one more rolling guy right there. And yes, just this guy to focus up on, so let's quickly send the skeletons in to deal with him. A few of the others over here are firing away. There's only 2 piglins left. It looks like this side is all over and done with. Let's hit the speed wheat and see if we can make our way around to the other side. Where is that last, probably lava launcher, just kind of hanging out? There it is! We are all done, and wasn't that easy? They barely made it to the central fountain. The only damage they did to it the entire round was just those lava launchers shooting in from the outside. Now, once you've completed the map, you will be able to collect your Portal Buster Hero skin by hitting R, and it will take you straight to the marketplace, where you can grab this one as a free addition to your inventory. I've already collected it, so you can see it here in the hero screen, and that is a pretty nice reward for having beaten the Portal Pile. Oh, I'm exhausted. Thank you folks so much for watching this episode of Minecraft Legends. I hope you enjoy that Portal Pile map. Give my strategies a try, and let me know if you come up with any more effective strategies for dealing with that map in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.